Welcome, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black breaking news. Today is Wednesday, January 8th, 2025. And wow, what 24 hours can bring. And so we'll get to all of that in just a second. I want to remind everybody that tonight on Fade to Black, we had to cancel last night due to the fires and the wind, power outages, the internet, everything else that was going on. And I had a guest that was under the weather, and there was no reason to do the show last night. But tonight, Whitley Strieber is with us. He has evacuated, and he is in a safe location. So I reached out to Whitley this morning. I said, I didn't realize he had evacuated. I knew he was right on the border. I know where he lives. And I said, if you need to cancel tonight, I understand. And he hit me back immediately and said that he had evacuated last night. He's at a safe location and the show must go on. So I agreed with that. So tonight, Whitley Strieber is with us here on Fade to Black. I have four major events coming up. I have five major events coming up. The links for everything are below. I want to get to everything that is going on right now. First, on this day in history, Elvis Presley receives his first guitar on his 11th birthday. And our fader fact is a straight line doesn't exist. All right, now let's get straight to it. The breaking news. The worst case scenario has been realized in the Pacific Palisades neighborhood of Los Angeles, where over 1,000 structures, most of them homes, have been destroyed. The Palisades fire was first reported yesterday around 10:30 a.m., right before the broadcast started yesterday. I knew about all of the high winds, which I had reported on yesterday and spoke about it, and what was happening overnight. The high winds, which were extreme here in Palmdale, just to let you know, the winds blow through here, kind of originate here, and then concentrate through the mountains as they head south. And it's just like the pressure in a garden hose. And the winds at the receiving end of everything are concentrated, are swirling, then they meet the ocean, which again confuses everything. So the winds are coming from every direction. They start here, head south, and then go crazy. And that is what is happening right now. And that's what happened yesterday. The fire broke out at 10:30 a.m. Last night, another fire broke out in Eaton Canyon on the edge of Altadena and Pasadena. And over the years, I have talked about my house in Pasadena, which was on the north side of Pasadena on Lake Avenue on the border of Altadena. Eaton Canyon was one of our favorite spots to hike to because of the waterfalls and the cliff diving, and it's an amazing trail. And I've spent a lot of time in my youth in Eaton Canyon, which again was right north of my home. Today, watching all of the fire reports coming out of that area, specifically El Molino Avenue, which was behind my home. I lived on El Molino when I very first moved to California. El Molino was behind my house that head straight up the hill. That entire street was on fire. This is my neighborhood. My friends growing up, a very tight circle of friends that I'm still close to this day, all have homes there, grew up there. Their parents live there. They still live there. And this is just a heartbreaking thing to see. All of the evacuation zones, all of the streets that are named are streets that I walked on, traveled, friends, everything else. It is an unbelievable experience for me to personally go through right now. My heart is torn. The devastation is unbelievable, and it is only getting worse today. It has not gotten better. The extreme winds will continue throughout today and tomorrow, and then they are expected to kick up again this weekend, Friday and Saturday. So we are nowhere near getting a hold of any of this. Everything is still not contained. Right before the broadcast today at 1 p.m. Pacific time, it's now 1:06. The Eaton fire, the Altadena fire, which is now inside of Pasadena. This is Pasadena and Altadena. And you have Sierra Madre and all of the other communities that are right there. Everything is under evacuation. That fire has extended to over 10,000 acres. This is absolutely heartbreaking. These are neighborhoods that are in a city. This is not, this is crazy to me. This is just a normal city, a normal neighborhood that you would never expect anything like this to happen. All of the fire resources right now, we have and now reported 6 fires, active fires here in Southern California. It goes without saying that all of the resources here are being stretched to their limits. You're watching houses and homes and communities burn with no fire trucks there because there aren't any to get there. Everything is in use and stretched to the limits. I did see some clips of some helicopters finally up in the air. I have a couple of airports next to me that have fire dropping planes and helicopters always at the ready. I haven't really heard them start flying yet. Normally, when something like this breaks out, the air traffic is going over my home. I am not seeing that at the moment. Also, I have spent an obvious 24 hours glued to the news, contacting my neighbors, my friends in the community, making sure that everybody is safe. And the stress of going through an entire night wondering listening to the howling winds outside, knowing these fires are out of control, that is something going to break out in our neighborhood. And yes, it did happen last night in Silmar, and that fire broke out. It was feared that, and it still might, jump across the 5 freeway and then head into Porter Ranch and the other communities that are there. But that's also the end of the freeway, the 14, that is the access to Palmdale. And so the 14 and the 5 were closed down last night. And there you go. The winds were taking the fires in the other direction. My worry was that things would go north into Santa Clarita, jump through the mountains, and then through Acton and of course arrive here in Palmdale, which and Lancaster, which didn't happen overnight. But you have to stay awake. You have to stay diligent. And that was my evening all the way through this morning to this broadcast right now. So with that, the fire at the 5 and 14 freeways in Silmar, while that was going on, another fire broke out this morning. And this one was in Van Nuys on Woodley Avenue. Again, my neighborhood, this is where I've spent the last 40 years of my life. That was contained at 30 acres, still burning, but all of the fire resources right now are stretched to the limits. We've got 2 other reports of fires broken out, one in Coachella, and another fire has broken out right before showtime. So now we have 6 fires that are being dealt with here in Southern California. It is just an incredible situation. I do want to say that my thoughts and prayers are with everybody here in Southern California. You can just step outside and see what is going on, and it is absolutely heartbreaking. And we are nowhere near the end of any of this. All right, let's get to the other breaking news. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration said yesterday that it opened a probe into 2.6 million Tesla vehicles in the United States over reports of crashes involved in a feature that allows users to move their cars remotely. Now, the new investigation comes after the United States Auto Safety Agency in October opened an investigation into 2.4 million Tesla vehicles equipped with full self-driving software after 4 reported collisions, including a fatal crash in 2023. The smoke in the air is just incredible. Firefly Aerospace said yesterday that it is aiming to launch a lander to the moon next week under an experimental NASA program that partners with the commercial sector to reduce cost. Now, if successful, it would mark the only second time an American robot has touched down on the lunar surface since the end of the Apollo era. Blue Ghost will spend 45 days traveling to the moon, followed by a planned 14-day operational phase on the surface. We'll see. The launch will be next week. Scientists at Brookhaven Lab have used high-energy particle collisions to peer inside protons, the particles that sit inside the nuclei of atoms, and has revealed for the first time that quarks and gluons, the building blocks of protons, experience the phenomenon of quantum entanglement. This is a big deal. All right, we're understanding more about quantum entanglement. The 4,100-year-old tomb of a doctor who treated the pharaoh himself has been discovered at the site of Saqqara in Egypt. Now, the inscriptions in the tomb say the doctor was the director of medicinal plants, a title that has been on only one other discovery from ancient Egypt. In addition to these titles, the inscriptions note that he was the chief dentist to the pharaoh, which pretty much says he was at the top of his profession and lived in a really nice neighborhood. Now, finally, I'll leave you with this. On the surface of Mars, a rover has filled over 24 airtight titanium tubes with pristine rock samples, each a little thicker than a pencil. Some tubes have been stashed on the red planet's surface, while others are held inside the rover's belly. Now, NASA and the European Space Agency are planning or are trying to plan to return some of these precious rock samples back to Earth, the culmination of a decades-long dream to retrieve the pristine rocks from Mars. But they just don't know how to bring them back. Yesterday, NASA officials said that the agency was going to explore two different mission plans and hold off on making the final decision about which one to actually pursue until the second half of 2026. Both options have never been done, in that you have to land something on Mars and then launch it back after going around and collecting the samples. Now, check this. Bill Nelson of NASA said that we could do it by 2039. Now, my guess is that we'll just have to wait until we've got actual boots on the ground of Mars. And Musk will probably be there in a few years. I'm just saying. Seriously. There you go. There's all the Fade to Black breaking news that you need for this Wednesday, January 8th, 2025. Breaking news is produced by Renee Neumann. I am Jimmy Church. I want to remind everybody that tonight we have Whitley Strieber on the show. He has evacuated and is in a safe place. He is just south of the Palisades fire. Now he's in a safe location and will be with us tonight on Fade to Black. We're going to be discussing everything that's going on, of course, here in Southern California and his new book, The Fourth Mind. Until then, and until tonight, all I've got is go backly tappy.